Welcome back to All Folks Racing PlayStation. Welcome back to round 10, the season finale of the summer 2022 season. We are at the Californian circuit of Sonoma, the short NASCAR version. And again, we are with the Caterham 7. We had a pretty good race in race 1, won by Jorge Jesus, followed by Jumbo and Diogo Silva. We are now going to watch race 2, which is pretty much the same as race 1, a 15-lap race lasting approximately 20 minutes. Remember, in Old Fox Racing, PlayStation, or PC for that matter, we have only default setups. In this case, in Project Cars, loose or stable. It is the same car, and therefore, it's only the driver that matters. All ability levels welcome. We are going to go through the starting grid for this second race. Diogo Silva is on pole position, followed by race 1 winner Jorge Jesus. Third is Simon Allen, followed by Scott Davely. 5th is Jumbo, followed by Joe Almeida. 7th is Caterham, followed by Gonçalo Mota. 9th is John Scott, followed by David Emge. Just like in race 1, we have exactly 10 drivers, and just for something different, we are going to watch the start from the chase camera, because the trackside camera is not very good in this circuit in Project Cars 2, and we are going to watch it from the midfield with Diogo Almeida. Look at this, the red light, and away they go. Nice start by Diogo Almeida. Oh, nice. Well, good start by Diogo Almeida. Not so good from whoever was that driver. I believe it was Scott Davely. It was Scott Davely that had that problem at the start and got hit. I'm not entirely sure if it was Diogo. No, it wasn't Diogo that was too fast. I think Scott was probably a little bit too slow. And one thing we haven't seen is that Jorge Jesus has taken the lead of this race, followed by Diogo Silva and Simon Allen. 4th is Jumbo. Look at this, side by side there, between Scott Davely and Gonçalo Mota, almost. And Gonçalo gets hit from behind there as well by another driver. That was Diogo Almeida. And something happened at the back between John Scott and David Emge. I'm not sure if these two have come together or what was the story. Let's look at this from David's perspective. As David has run wide there, hits the board and spins. And in a separate incident, John Scott also spun. Gonçalo Mota in 8th. He did have some help there from Diogo Almeida, I believe. Yes, he had. He was running wide. Slightly squeezed there by Scott Davely, and then got hit from behind by Diogo Almeida. Let's go back to the race leaders. As we expected, a little bit of pushing and shoving there in turn 1. Look at Jorge Jesus again already with a 1-second lead over Diogo Silva. There is Simon Allen, followed by Jumbo, followed by Caterham. And there's a bit of a train forming here behind Diogo Silva, or behind Simon Allen most likely, there in 3rd place. As Jumbo is having ideas again of getting that podium position forward. And Jumbo runs a little bit too deep there, putting himself under pressure from Caterham, and Kev is coming strongly once. Someone has gone off there. That's Jorge Jesus. Jorge Jesus, the race leader. The race leader is off, and that was on his own. Yes. Oh, he just runs wide and then... and then slows down. Something has happened to Jorge Jesus. He did not spin. He barely went off track, but he's down into 6th place now, behind Scott Davely. Diogo Silva leads lap 1 here, followed by Simon Allen and Jumbo. And look at this group here, starting with Simon Allen. Diogo Silva is a 2.2 up the road, but look at this. And Caterham is there on that, trying a slightly impossible maneuver there. Jumbo is also putting pressure on Simon Allen. This is becoming quite a hot battle here. Look at that. There's Simon Allen, Jumbo, Caterham. Then Jorge Jesus has overtaken Scott Davely, and definitely wants more. And Jorge Jesus, of course, massive pace he had in race 1. Surely he will be able to recover and he's already putting enormous pressure on Caval, and possibly in the last corner we're going to see some action here, because Caval is not far behind Jumbo either. George Jesus is on the outside. Look at Scott Davey, he could try something there as well, as they all break into the last corner. And Scott opportunistically there was trying to go on the inside of George. That was a bit of a late move there. George continues to put enormous pressure on Caval, and he just cannot find a way to go around. Now he's going around on the outside of turn 1. It's a dangerous, yes. We've seen this before, and George does a complete 360. It seems to me he just ran out of roads, and going around the outside in turn 1 often has this consequence with this particular car. Look at this Caval, and he's defending. George, and there's not much grip there. He just clips the gravel, the grass, very dry grass here in California, and ends up losing a position to Gonçalo Mota. Gonçalo is up into 6th place. Nicely done there. And something has happened to Joe Almeida. He's lost an enormous amount of time. He's 10 seconds, more than 10 seconds off 9th place, and we are not entirely sure when this happened, but why not rewind and find out, as this Caterham continues to prove to be a challenging... Oh, Diogo Almeida, that start was a little bit too good to be true, and he has been hit with the drive-through penalty at the end of lap 1. It is a very long and twisty pit lane, and it's going to be tricky for Diogo to recover. He's got the pace though. Let's see what he can do. Let's go through the field in reverse. Diogo Almeida is in 10th after that drive through. John Scott, remember, he did spin in turn 1, and he is catching up with another driver that also spun in turn 1 in separate incidents. That is David Emge, who is in 8th place. And nice battle between these two drivers, still on lap 2 out of 15. Plenty of racing still to come here at Sonoma. And this battle, well, they are already a little bit delayed. And David M gives off. David M gives off, and John Scott goes through. So John Scott goes up into 8th spot. And John is currently, well, they are 7 seconds away from the leading pack after that incident. 7th place is Jorge Jesus after that spin, and look at that, he's almost spinning again. 6th is Gonçalo Mota, and look at this battle here between 4th place man Cavallan and 5th place man Scott Davey. Jumbo is in 3rd, Simon Allen is in 2nd, and Diogo Silva continues to lead this race on lap 3. This is the closest battle on the track though, as Cavallan, remember that Jorge Jesus was involved in this battle, but he spun in turn 1, so now Cavallan, instead of Jorge, has to contend with the local American driver. I'm not sure he's from California, I don't think he is from California, but local, at least from a nationality point of view, driver Scott Davey. And another lap is complete. Race leader is going to be very shortly on lap 4 out of 15. And these two drivers continue to battle. Let's look for other battles. People are already a little bit separated. Let's go through the field now. Again, Diogo Silva continues to lead this race. Can he finish the season on a high note? He's going to, well, he's already wrapped up the championship, the Summer 2022 championship, and certainly would love to finish and celebrate the championship with a victory. 2nd place man is Simon Allen. He was in 2nd place in race 1 before dropping to 4th at the very late stage. Can he hold on to 2nd? 3rd is Jumbo, and Jumbo very competitive with this car. If next year there is a Caterham championship, look out, he will certainly be a contender, as he's always on the podium in this Caterham 7. Fourth is Kev Allen, continues to defend from Scott Davley. He's opened a few car lengths of a gap, so now there's a bit of breathing space for Kev. As Scott Davley continues to be in fifth, and look at Gonçalo Mota, he is definitely in touch with the leading group. He's in sixth place, but only 7 seconds away from the leader, so a lot of racing to go. Here he comes. Let's look at lap times of this leading group. 1:17s for the top three, very close times indeed. 1:18s for everyone else in the top six, again very, very close times. Look at the absolutely brilliant. The top seven, the top eight are all on 1:17s or 1:18s. Jorge Jesus is trying to recover some time after that spin. However, he's got 5 seconds, 4 seconds to go until he reaches Gonçalo Mota, and he was only a couple of tenths. Something happened to Kev Allen. Something happened to Kev Allen. He span or had a problem. Yes, he did. And this is again the same thing. This corner is very tricky indeed. He did not clip the car, but that was not the ideal exit, and he's trying to avoid the barrier, but eventually he catches up with the barrier and loses fourth position to Scott Davley, sorry. And Gonçalo Mota is doing a great job up into fifth place, up into a top 5 position, and Kev Allen drops down into sixth. Seventh is Jorge Jesus. 8th is John Scott, and John is 5 seconds behind Jorge, but running a little bit slower. Then we've got David Emke, and a recovering Diogo Almeida is still in 10th place. Remember, he had that drive-through at the end of the first lap. We are finishing the first third of this race. Let's look for battles on the track. And David is off there. And Diogo Almeida goes through. Diogo Almeida up into 9th. Diogo Almeida up into 9th spot, as the leader is already on lap 6. Let's look for the closest drivers on the track are second place man Simon Owen, who increasingly is becoming under pressure from Jumbo. Look at Jumbo's time last time round. Look at the top 3. Basically, it's only a couple of tenths between them in terms of their lap times last time round. And everyone is trying hard very quickly. Top 4, Scott Davley in 4th place, also on the 1:17s. 5th place man Gonçalo Mota is losing a bit of steam there. He was half a second slower than Scott Davley the last time round, but it seems to me that Jumbo is coming big time to take that second place, and Jumbo again challenging for the sharp end of these leaderboards. Another lap is complete. The leader is already on lap 7. Let's look at lap times. Diego Silva, the leader, is on the 1:18.3. That's not a great lap time for Diogo. Look at Simon Owen, 1:18.4. And Jumbo is the fastest of the top 3. He's almost a second faster than Simon Owen. And you can see visually that he is absolutely nose to tail to Yorkshire drivers with this Caterham in this Californian circuit. What an amazing battle we are seeing here. Scott Davley 1:18.5. Let's look for battles, and it seems to me that something has happened again to Jorge Jesus, because he is... something definitely has happened to Jorge Jesus, because he's lost the position to... John Scott and now has recovered. So we'll just rewind to see what happened to our race 1 winner, as this seems to have been a while ago. And if I had to make a guess, I would guess it was somewhere over here. Well, except that it wasn't here. Was it in turn 1? Well, Jorge Jesus has... he has lost time, but now has recovered, as we'll go on board with George into turn 1. He's trying to go around John Scott. Lost a bit of time there in turn 1. This corner was also very tricky, and especially this one, especially the exit is so important here, as George does have a good exit now. This is a heavy braking point here in this right-handed, not the ideal line through there. Lost a little bit more time. Another heavy braking point here as we enter this final twisty section. Beautiful circuit, this Sonoma, especially with this combo. It's a brilliant choice, very fun machine to drive around here. You just cannot overdrive it, otherwise problems will happen, bad problems will happen, as George now gets a good exit and a good pace through this twisty section. Now he's going to finish another lap, and this is probably where he's going to overtake John Scott. They go through the final corner, and George with very good pace there compared to John Scott, as he is trying to go again around the outside there. It didn't work very well a few laps ago, and now he is going to go instead on the inside and goes up into 7th. John Scott down into 8th place. Joe made it to 9, as we saw. And well, and John Scott recaptured the position. I'm not sure if this was related to penalties or what, but some strange changes of position here between these two drivers. And look at this, George Jesus a little bit wide there, almost lost it. We'll keep an eye on other battles. We seem to have a good battle for 5th place as well between Gonçalo Mota and Kev Allen. Gonçalo Mota has been in 5th place for a while now. And Kev Allen, of course, is recovering from that earlier spin in turn 3, I believe, where he hit the barrier. And now he is back into contention for 5th spot. And now lap is complete. The leader is already on lap 8. Let's keep an eye on the battle between John Scott and Jorge Jesus. Jorge Jesus has lost time again. And look at the battle for 2nd place. Again, we have pretty close racing there between Jumbo and... Oh, look at this, Diogo Silva. No, sorry, I was mixing this up. It's definitely Simon Allen, and that's Diogo Silva, the yellow car. The orange car is Simon Allen, and Jumbo now making a small mistake there through that corner, loses a few car lengths. Let's go back to the battles. Oh, and Kev Allen is through. Kev Allen has overtaken Gonçalo Mota for 5th place. We'll get a replay on how that happened, as the Gonçalo ran just a little bit wide in turn 1, and Kev had the better exit, more momentum, and job done. Kev Allen up into 5th place. Let's go back. Oh, and Gonçalo Mota almost losing it there, but survives to fight another day. Let's look for other battles. Battle for 2nd place, still there between Jumbo and Simon Allen. Sorry, Simon Allen still in 2nd place. The gap at the front is 4 seconds. Lap 8 out of 15. Lap 8 out of 15. Let's look for other battles. We seem to have an emerging battle always between John Scott and George Jesus, but George has been losing time. John Scott is 3 seconds ahead. And then we've got drivers that have been delayed in the beginning. Diogo Almeida is probably going to struggle to get out of 9th place. He's got, well, 20 seconds, give or take, of a gap to Jorge Jesus in 8th, and Jorge Jesus not having the race that he wanted. He's in 8th place. Let's look at his lap times now. Seems like a more normal lap to me. 120.176, still not a great lap by Jorge Jesus. In fact, it's slower than John Scott. And the race 1 winner is struggling in race 2. Diogo Silva is still in the lead of the race, followed by Simon Allen and Jumbo. Scott Davely in 4th. Again, good job by Scott Davely there. Good job there by Scott Davely. In 4th place, the fastest of the American drivers, 5th is Kev Allen. And we'll keep an eye on Kev Allen, because look at his pace. He is the fastest man on the track as it stands. right now at the end of lap 9. Let's look at his lap time versus Scott Davely, because there's only 3 seconds between these two drivers. Scott Davely crosses the line at 118.1 and Kev Allen 118.3. So Kev is faster, but he's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit if he wants to challenge for 4th place later on. Look at this, 4/10 of a second between Jumbo and Simon Allen. And race leader Diogo Silva has not checked out from this group. He's 3.6 seconds away, and he's done the slowest lap time of all three, not by much, but these three are basically frantically trying to extract everything that this Caterham 7 has to give around this Sonoma circuit. Just 5 laps to go at the line, and the closest battle in the field is, well, probably this one for 2nd place. Other than that, we have Scott Davely and Kev Allen, 3 seconds, then Gonçalo Mota a couple of seconds behind Kev, and then everyone else is pretty spread out. Jorge Jesus continues to have not great lap times, 120.1. Let's look at Scott Davely versus Kev Allen. Scott a 118.6 and Kev does a 119.5. So Kev Allen is losing a bit of steam in these last few laps. And only 4 laps to go at the line for the season to finish, the summer 2022 season. Again, plenty of good racing, but it's also the last season in the current format of individual combos of cars and tracks chosen every week, with a time trial followed by a race on Friday evening, as the PlayStation Group enters a new era of racing with basically pre-decided cars. Sometimes there is a choice for the group, but certainly pre-decided categories of cars, and 10 race seasons with 8 seasons in a given year. So now the autumn season that is about to start is going to be 20 races, and the first 10 are going to be with the Ginetta GT5, pretty good car, very liked by pretty much everyone, provides good racing, and it's a low power car as well, so should provide also more parity in the group. And that's going to be raced in 5 different tracks across the US and the UK. And then the second part of the autumn season is going to be 10 races in a GTE car, not yet decided, but should be very good fun to watch how this PlayStation Old Fox Racing is going to evolve, as also Simon Allen seems to have checked out from Jumbo. Let's look at other battles. Scott Davely also seems to have his 4th place under control, as Jumbo really in these last couple of laps has not been able to keep up with Simon Allen. So let's go to the field. Diogo Silva is about to finish lap 12. 2nd place man is Simon Allen, 3.9, well, 4 seconds behind. Jumbo in 3rd place. 4th is Scott Davely. 5th is Kev Allen. 6th is Gonçalo Mota. 7th, John Scott. 8th is Jorge Jesus, and Jorge finally has done a time that is consistent with his talent and also with his pace in race 1. He's done a 117.365, which is an amazingly fast time. He's 6 seconds away from John Scott, but he was 5 seconds faster in the last lap. Let's have a look at the end of this lap. End of lap 12 for these drivers. Remember, there are 15 laps in this race. And John Scott a 119.790, and Jorge Jesus a 123.377, so definitely not up to speed in this lap, and he's 5 seconds behind, as only a couple more laps to go very shortly. And something has happened to David Emge. David has lost a lot of time. He's still running in 10th place. He's about, well, he's gone, I believe, a lap down. He's not going a lap down, but he's about to go a lap down from the leader. No, not from the leader. He's a lap down from the leader. He's still in 10th spot. So remember, you do need to finish the race to score points. But it doesn't really matter where you finish. You have to be running at the end. Diogo Silva on lap 14, that's the penultimate lap, followed by Simon Owen, followed by Jumbo, followed by Scott Davely, followed by Cavalo, and then it's Gonçalo Mota, John Scott, Jorge Jesus, Diogo Almeida, and 10th is David Emge. Let's keep an eye on this battle here between Simon Owen and Jumbo, as only a couple more laps to go. As now positions are more or less stable in this race. Still the closest drivers on the track are these two, and look at this, Jumbo is now reducing the gap to under a second, but only one lap to go at the end of this one, and they are about to finish this lap as we enter the last lap of the season, the last lap of an era of racing as well. We had 54 races in 2020. We had 80 races over 4 seasons of 20 races in 2021. We had 60 races in 2022 in the first 3 seasons, and now 20 more races to go, but organized in groups of 10 with predefined categories. And we have the GT5 category with the Ginetta. There's only one choice for that one. And the GT racing should also be pretty good next year. We already have a very interesting calendar with touring cars, LMP2 cars, open wheelers, a bit of everything, but allows hopefully closer racing, hopefully more parity in the field, and hopefully less need to practice a different car and circuit every week, as at least the car is going to be the same for 5 weeks. Last few corners for Diogo Silva. He is the summer 2022 champion, and he's going to win the last round here at Sonoma. The last corner is underway, and the checkered flag is in the air, and he scores another victory here in this championship. Second is Simon Owen, and Jumbo, despite the late challenge, has to settle for 3rd place. Another podium for Jumbo. 4th is going to be Scott Davely. 5th is going to be Cavalo, completing the top 5. 6th is going to be Gonçalo Mota. 7th is going to be John Scott. 8th is going to be Jorge Jesus. And 9th is going to be Diogo Almeida. Not the race that he wanted, but compromised after that drive-through at the end of lap 1. As we hope to see these and other drive. Oh, and Diogo Almeida is off the track big time. He's not going to lose any positions because he's the last driver on the lead lap. We hope to see all these drivers and more come back for the Ginetta season. Pretty good racing is anticipated. We still have 6 spots in this particular race, and certainly could do with a few more drivers joining this championship. It will be epic. You'll probably find it here at the Liberator channel as Diogo Almeida completes the race. Remember, David Emge, he completed the race in 10th. For the time being, it's bye-bye from the summer 22 season, and we'll see you in the new era for Old Folks Racing PlayStation starting very, very soon. Until then, it's bye-bye.